Hello and welcome to Tabletop Oddity, you crazy people. My name is Jay, and today I'm asking the question, what happens to Fantasy Flight Games if Star Wars becomes bad? Now, first of all, I'm just going to straight out answer this question. Not much. FFG are a big company with Asmodee, the publisher behind them. They're not like at risk or anything, and I'm not trying to imply they would be. They do have other games. Granted, I think those other games are not necessarily as big or as popular as the Star Wars games, but they do have other games. So first off, right off the bat, there's nothing overly to worry about. But let's just talk about it a little bit, just in case. So Star Wars The Last Jedi, I think it's not controversial to say that that film had mixed reactions. Apparently it's still the biggest selling DVD of like 2018, perhaps down on The Last Jedi, not The Last Jedi, The Force Awakens, but there you have it. And apparently a lot of the online backlash was from Russian troll bots, but I don't know how true that was. But it's not controversial to say. It's all over YouTube. People love it, people hate it, fine. Han Solo film, a lot of people... I'd say mixed reactions, but not quite as aggressive or virile. A little bit more tempered with the reactions. People seem to like Rogue One. I was meh about that. I was sort of okay with The Last Jedi in parts, and some bits I didn't like, but that's every film ever. My point being, Disney, they bought the Star Wars license. They are going to sell as many Star Wars related products as anybody can possibly conceive. Well, no, that's possibly an over-exaggeration, but they are going to make a lot more films. You've got the TV series called The Resistance. You know what I mean? We're going to get more media. We're going to have a different game made by EA that's like a third-person shooter, I think. Can't remember the name of it. I think that's still happening. We're getting more media. We're getting more stories from the Star Wars universe. And the question is, if it all becomes ill-received, right, as in most people don't like it. I'm not saying we're anywhere near that yet, so don't get me wrong, I understand people do still like Star Wars, but let's just say it tanks in a way that most people agree we're tired of. Like, they've made so many films, we're bored of it, not interested. Which, as I said, I doubt it's going to happen. I think Disney have spent so much money buying the Star Wars license. Look at the Marvel universe, that's still going reasonably strong. People still like that. I'm not necessarily a huge fan, but people still like it, and they've got lots of media for it. So I think Disney, I think any errors that they've made, I think they will correct. They're a massive company with, I'm sure, quality people, behind the scenes sorting that out. So. FFG though, I said they have other games, and it's true, and they have the big publisher Asmodee behind them, but a lot of those games aren't necessarily like miniature war games or anything like that. Some of them are card games, like the Android games. I think they've lost that license. I think the Game of Thrones license, I think that's a card game or a board game or a combination of the two. Lord of the Rings, that's a card game, I believe. Obviously the Lord of the Rings license is with GW, I believe, for the miniature universe. Terranoff, I think, is their own one with Descent and Rune Wars. Don't know too much about that. Other games, they're still based on licenses here. We can see Doom, Fallout. Keyforge is an interesting one because it's a unique game and it's their own property. So that's going to be an interesting game for sure. Star Wars, we've got X-Wing, Destiny, Legion, Imperial Assault, Rebellion, Armada, and the RP games, the role-playing games. I don't think it's unfair for me to say that FFG is most widely known. Well, they have a lot of board games, to be fair. People do like the board games, but in the wargaming sphere, they're obviously known for the Star Wars games, so I don't think that's unreasonable. And I don't think either of these two possibilities are unreasonable. That Star Wars becomes disliked. Right, I think it's unlikely, but it's still a possibility. And FFG have lots of Star Wars games. So you can see if this happens, that the license becomes not very well received, what happens? Well, as I said, probably not much. There are a couple of things that could happen. Number one, Star Wars was already not very well received with The Phantom Menace and the prequels. A lot of people did not like them. Your opinions may vary. I really like the aesthetic of that, and I'm very excited for the Clone Wars when that comes around. So even from that, something good has happened. My voice is going a little bit weird. Can you hear it? I do apologize. But yeah, so we've had ill-received Star Wars, even if that continues. And I don't think anybody would say that the new films are on that kind of level of like cheesy quirkiness or anything like that, or we're going to descend into that. So I think Star Wars is going to be okay, but we've already had it not be okay, and it's still popular. Like X-Wing came out after the prequels, I believe. So I have no reason to think that Star Wars will, like the games will suffer. And when you think about it, I think FFG's games are so good that it probably doesn't matter. Like, yeah, there's Attack Wing, which is a very similar game to X-Wing, but really they have their own unique sort of style of the games, and they're quite good games, to be fair. That's why a lot of people like them. Legion, I specifically personally really like. I'm getting into X-Wing and I like that. I'm sure there are other games like the card games and the Destiny and all that kind of stuff. I'm sure they're good games in their own right. And now they're doing, even they're expanding this with their own unique game. So I think what we'll actually see is FFG will slightly edge their bet. They will go with either a different license, or they will make more of these unique games, which are going to be their own IPs that they try and push out as being very consumer friendly. And, people will either get into it, they'll either take off or they won't. I would really love them to buy another IP. I think IPs are actually really almost required in this day and age. We're seeing Harry Potter Kickstarter. We've got the Batman games. We've got the Mockingjay board game. The only company that I can think that actually has done something sort of, I'd say original. I mean, we've got Gaslands. We've got the Mantic is what I was going to actually talk about with Kings of War. They've got their own like unique miniature setting, but basically existing IPs are an easy way into the market. And I could sort of see FFG basically get into another. I would like them to use the relationship with Disney, with Star Wars, and maybe get into Marvel. I realise Hero Clicks already has that, but maybe ditch them, get into Marvel. And obviously they can't get into DC because I think, I can't remember the name of the company that does that, who's doing the Harry Potter game. The name is randomly escaping me. But they could. So those are the two things that I think might happen. They might make their own unique games, which are their own style, brand, IP, concept, deliver, people enjoy, fine. Or they might go with a really big IP purchase within the next year, because they may have seen the reaction to The Last Jedi and be like, we need a backup plan, a second IP that one of our best games is on. I don't know what that could be. I sort of feel like they're missing a miniature skirmish game, but sort of Legion is almost a miniature skirmish game. There isn't that many models in Legion. It's just a big table, and the way that it plays unit-wise, it sort of feels quite epic. Legion's a very interesting game in that sense, but I definitely think you could see something like that from FFG. So what I don't really want to see, and this is weird for like me to say, don't comment on this. I'm not really that interested in your opinion. That sounds really, really harsh, but let me finish on The Last Jedi. I think that's possibly been done to death. We'll try and move on. I just want to know, do you think Star Wars is going to tank, or do you think it's going to bounce back? And do you think if it does tank, if it is going to tank, or if it did tank, what do you think FFG should do, or will they do? Will they make their own games? Will they just sit through it? They could easily do that, because I'm fairly sure, I personally don't think Star Wars is going to tank, so I think FFG would be more than fine to just be like, right, we're just going to keep making Star Wars games. They could either make their own games, keep making Star Wars games, buy another IP and make a big game there. Let me know your thoughts on that. So I do apologise for not saying don't tell me about The Last Jedi, but we've had it. You know what I mean? It's the film's been out like 10 months. I want to move on with our lives. Hopefully you don't see me being a bit too harsh. So if you want to tell me really like you've got a unique idea about it, fine. But there's a million YouTube videos on that if you want to see that. So I do apologise. But yeah, as I said, FFG, they're going to be fine. Don't worry. It's not like a problem. They're a massive company. Asmodee is a big company behind them. Star Wars is still selling like gangbusters. Is that the phrase? So don't worry if you play these games. I'm not trying to say that. I think the Warhammer universe is probably more at risk, but fine. If you like this video, do like. If you're not already subscribed, then please do that. Thank you to all my Patreons. I would really, really appreciate that. It means quite a lot to me right now. Thank you very much to that, and have a most beautiful, beautiful day. Goodbye. Bye, guys.